and loved ones of those lost are in our hearts. So as we broadcast today from here in New York, we also take time to say, we'll never forget.
First Take, presented by the United States Marine Corps.
Once again, not a football story.
Brittany Taylor has accused him of 3 incidents of assault in 2017 and 18, including rape.
Brown's attorney says Brown denies all allegations and says the two had a, quote, consensual personal relationship.
If the league determines there was misconduct, they could put him on commissioner's exempt, they could suspend him, and then the Patriots obviously would have the ability to act accordingly.
Antonio Brown, I think, has used up a lot of the goodwill that he had built up through the years over the course of the last off-season or so.
The seriousness of this with this organization can't be understated based on the history.
If I'm a teammate in that locker room, I don't want him in the locker room until this gets figured out because I don't trust Antonio Brown.
Perhaps unlike anything we've ever seen with an athlete in the span of 1 month.
Good morning. Welcome into First Take. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I'm Molly Karam. Gentlemen, a lot of heavy stuff to deal with today, so let's get right to it. We'll begin with the allegations against Antonio Brown. Brown has been accused of sexual assault by his former trainer, Brittany Taylor. Taylor accused Brown of 3 incidents of sexual assault in 2017 and 2018, including an alleged rape, according to a civil lawsuit filed in the Southern District of Florida. Brown's attorney said the wide receiver denies all allegations and said the two had a consensual personal relationship. The Patriots said they take these allegations very seriously. Under no circumstances does this organization condone sexual violence or assault. The NFL will be investigating the matter, according to the Patriots. We now welcome in ESPN legal analyst Ryan Smith. Ryan, good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Sure thing, Molly.
So one possibility, Ryan, I understand, is that Roger Goodell would place Brown on the commissioner's exempt list, which would mean the receiver will not be counted on the Patriots' active list while the league investigates the allegations. He is expected to practice for the first time today with the Patriots. Tell me, what do you expect to happen next?
Well, I think in the court system, you have to remember, this is not a criminal case, it's a civil case. So we're not looking at a criminal investigation, jail time at this point. It simply is she's claiming that he assaulted her multiple times and that she has suffered pain and suffering and therefore should receive money damages in a civil court. So I think he's going to answer that claim in court. He's going to file an answer. He's going to deny all the accusations. He's going to say it was consensual. And then we move on down the court process on that one. Now, as far as what the NFL does, it will be very interesting because you want to take the wait and see approach in terms of an investigation, but there's no criminal investigation here. You want to see what the details yield, but we don't know how far down the track this will go. So I think at this point, the key will be what his answer says, what he says to these accusations. And always remember in all this, it's a civil case now, but do authorities look at this, see these documents and say, is this something we want to investigate? That remains to be seen.
Ryan, educate me about something here. There are a myriad of allegations here. I counted them at 3. The third one states, quote, that he forced her down onto a bed, pushed her face into the mattress, and forcibly raped her. Mm-hmm. Why is this just civil? Why is this not a criminal investigation? Or why is that the case?
It's one of the unanswered questions in all this. We don't know, Stephen A., if she went to police, if she reported this to police, and if she didn't report it to police and police didn't know about it, it would be hard for them to do anything about it. A lot of times in cases like this, people will not go to the police. And again, not saying one thing about the accusations or another, but I've seen in many cases where people are victims of assault and they feel like it's an uphill battle. They feel like their life is going to be dragged to the mud and it's something they don't want to do.
No. I understand why, excuse me, Max, hold on for a second. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is since those are the specific allegations, irregardless of what she wants to pursue, why wouldn't the law pursue that criminally in light of the fact that she is mentioning the word rape here, forcibly raped her? Shouldn't the law take it into their own hands since that's her allegation?
I think because they got to investigate it. And you look at how this kind of thing goes down. They might see, let's say they learned about this just now, like we did last night. They get this document, they take a look at it. They say, okay, we're going to read through this. We're going to call a couple of the parties. When you have a case like this where it's he said, she said, you obviously want to talk to the principals, but you don't have a lot of evidence. You might not have a lot of physical evidence. So you want to talk to all the parties and then methodically move to the point of what do we do now? Does this rise to the level of a criminal charge based on what we know and believe from the people we've talked to? So I think you can look at this and say, man, this seems like a criminal case right away. But it all is out in the details, and they have to, if they want to determine that, do a thorough investigation and figure it all out.
Ryan, normally in these cases, you wait till the facts come out. There's a presumption of innocence, and we wait and see. If this remains, however, merely or exclusively a civil case, the burden of proof is not the same as in a criminal case. It is not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. It's by the preponderance of evidence, meaning more likely than not. Let's say a jury finds that if it proceeds in a civil case, she is awarded damages. What does that mean in terms of what is likely to happen next for Antonio Brown?
Well, a couple things. First, Max, when you're looking at this, you're assuming that during this entire time, the police aren't getting involved and saying, maybe there's something here we should investigate. So let's assume that they're not doing that, and it just becomes a civil case. If that happened, if that judgment is entered, I would think that the NFL at that point has been sitting back and waiting to see what happens in terms of levying a full punishment. And they're going to now have this information, they're going to have the conviction, and then they'll make a decision. Now, at that point, you've got a decision in a court of law, even if it's civil, even if it's at a lower burden, saying that a jury of your peers agreed that something happened here that caused the need for damages, something possibly that jurors thought was criminal. So I think in that particular case, you could see the NFL throwing the book at them. Now, I say all that to say, we're assuming, again, that the police aren't getting involved in this. So if the police get involved in this, it's a whole different story, and you got to wait for that to play out as well. So this could easily end up on two different tracks, even though it's on one track right now in civil court.
Ryan, there are those that would point to Adrian Peterson, for example, when they talked about the corporal punishment of his child, per se. That's how some folks viewed it. And as a result, he was taken off the field and put on the commissioner's exempt list and not allowed to play football. They would point to something like that and say if the NFL took that position with somebody being excessive as a parent, what should they do when it comes to an allegation of this serious of nature? What should they do in this particular situation? How do you answer that?
Yeah, Stephen A., you just made the argument right there of why he should be put on the commissioner's exempt list. And you know what it comes down to, guys? It comes down to what the NFL has been saying about not condoning any sort of sexual assault. We are in an environment today where when survivors make claims, when accusers make claims, we want to err on the side of believing them, of saying their claims are valid. Let's research these claims, let's figure out what happened. But at the same time, let's err on the side of belief. If that's the case, especially given the precedent with Adrian Peterson and others, you look at this and you say, well, maybe if that's the line we have been towing, if we have been saying that we are concerned about this kind of behavior, we don't want to be seen as condoning it, you got to take them off the field. And then you say, let's take them off the field, let's figure this thing out. If we were wrong, then we will reinstate them. The other side of that, though, you got the PA, the NFL PA, you got Antonio Brown saying, wait a second, this is an accusation. And in America, anybody can make an accusation. How do you guys know this is true? I have already said it's not true. How are you doing this to me when it hasn't even played out in the court system, when the police aren't involved, when there hasn't been any kind of investigation? So it's a very tough line for the NFL to toe here. But I think in many ways, if you've got the community, if you've got fans out there looking and saying, well, if in this other case, you suspended somebody before it all played out, or sorry, put them on the exempt list before it all played out, and you're not going to do it here, doesn't make a lot of sense to us.
Yeah, and obviously this comes on the heels of him recording a conversation with John Gruden in California, which is also illegal. So who knows if the NFL would take that into consideration in any forms of punishment. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us this morning and breaking it down in layman's terms.
Sure thing, you guys.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We have plenty more reaction to Antonio Brown, including what the Patriots and the NFL should do. Max and Stephen A. will break that down. Stephen A., what else is coming up this morning?
More First Take coming your way. That's what's coming up. What Carson Palmer is saying about Dak Prescott and why I completely disagree. Plus, you won't believe what KD, Kevin Durant, is saying about the NBA. And I'll tell you why I have a problem with that, too. Also, you don't want to miss